Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. I thought I'd do another video on Tin Can. This game has been consuming me a little bit lately, to say the least. I've gotten quite addicted to all the different game modes and challenges that this game has to offer. Now this is a recent bit of footage that I played basically in this game. I was actually recording at the time, so I was lucky to actually get this footage. I just thought I'd share it for a little bit of fun, a little bit something a little bit different today on the channel. So hopefully you will enjoy this. I'm not going to spoil it with what happens, but hopefully you will be quite impressed with some of the creative strategies that I used to actually survive. And I did survive for quite some time there until I made basically a very stupid mistake in the end. And yeah, I was really just like, I was not happy at the end when I made that mistake either, because I got so critical at one point. I was almost about to die because I'd messed up the oxygen levels and all that kind of stuff. But I managed to survive for a bit longer until I made that stupid mistake. But anyway, here's how the footage went. Basically, I'm not going to explain what the game's about. I have got a first look video on my channel if you want to check that out. I did put out a first look video quite recently, and you may find that video quite helpful. In this video, I just want to show you how that playthrough went, how my recent playthrough went. So as you can see here, what I did was I did take quite a few supplies with me. So I've got a few batteries and whatnot, which I just thought I'd stock up on. And I bought an air filter as well, even though you don't really need them because you can just clean your existing air filters. You don't really need to replace them. But I've got quite a collection here of switches and buzzers and data connectors and things like that. So obviously everything starts off fairly quiet, as it normally does in the escape pod. So yeah, I'm putting everything away right now, just getting ready for the onslaught of what outer space has in store for me. So I've actually got quite a few high capacity components at my disposal as well. I bought a high capacity connector as well as a normal power connector. These high capacity connectors, they're normally used for the atomic pile electrical generator, and also I think the gravity generator uses it as well in the floor. So as you can see there, I've got quite a collection of power transformers, power connectors and fuses there, and basically just waiting to see what events get thrown at me. So I got 13 minutes, so it was a 15-minute challenge. I'm pretty sure this was the 15-minute rescue mode that I was trying to play here. And looks like, yeah, the main computer was not or everything's missing in there, so that's fine. Oh, here we go. All right, so yeah, so this is the first event that occurred, and this is basically the nebula, the electrical nebula. So this is a little bit panic stations right now, because whenever you get these electrical nebulas, you basically, and I've learned this afterwards, but what I'm doing here is I'm just taking all the fuses out. But I think in hindsight, it's probably better to take the power connectors out from what I've learned since then, because you can still fry components as long as you've got that power connection there. I'm not too sure, but yeah, if anyone knows for sure, feel free to comment below in this video. Whoop, so there we go. So I was just busy trying to take the fuses and everything out of all of the oxygen systems and things like that. But as you can see, I didn't take anything out of the gravity generator, and that's why I'm floating around now. At least my oxygen and my CO2 and I believe my pressure generator is all operational, as you can see there. So no problem from a oxygen point of view and survivability, breathability point of view. But I just went and took out the high capacity fuse from the gravity generator just whilst this storm continues on, for what it's worth. So at this point, obviously, well, at any time in this game, your high priority is obviously just to keep your oxygen and CO2 levels in check. And to some extent, the pressure as well. The pressure changes don't occur that quickly, so it's not a big deal. I've actually got a fire going on, I realized here, and so yeah, I'm just trying to find where this fire is as well. So things have certainly got off to a very, very interesting start here. I've got the fire somewhere behind one of these panels. I'm just floating around. My gravity generator is completely gone. And actually, in hindsight, I can see now my O2 and CO2 generators are actually off as well. So I should be doing something about that. And I'm sure I will be. But I'm just trying to put the fire out first. So yeah, I can feel the fire getting worse. Well, I can definitely hear the fire. And there we go. The fire is actually in the oxygen generator. So whoopee, that's just awesome, isn't it? And don't think this is actually the worst of what happens in this playthrough. It gets much, much worse. And to think that I just make a stupid mistake at the end, it was very frustrating, to say the least. So obviously got some breathing problems now. And okay, so I chose to actually just vent the oxygen bottle into the pod's atmosphere directly, rather than trying to get the oxygen generator to meter the dose. You can do that in a pinch. Obviously, you do want to turn it off though. Rather than use the oxygen generator, you can just vent the CO2, or sorry, the oxygen bottle manually into the atmosphere as well. That's kind of brought my breathing under control a little bit, as you can probably hear. So now my priority is basically just to get the oxygen and CO2 systems up and going again. I'm just going to vent a little bit more oxygen. And I think my CO2 is quite high, so I've gone battle stations here. I'm just going to open the airlock. And this is when it starts to get really cold as well. So I'm freezing right now. I have turned off the atomic pile generator, and that's why it's gotten very cold. So now what I chose to do from the looks of it is just restore the atomic pile, because obviously we've passed the storm. So no more electrical storms, no more risk of losing electrical systems. Now I'm just going to get the atomic pile up and running. And miraculously, I've got my breathing back under control. I'm just freezing, that's all. But you can see that my CO2 and oxygen is miraculously still within limits. My CO2 bottle is full, so I'm just going to replace that. Just going to change that over. But obviously my main objective here is just to get the heat back into this pod. And for some reason I've lost my monitors there. No, it's all good. I'm just freezing right now, that's all. So that's just good. I was actually quite panicked at this point. I was like, oh my god, I'm not having any breathing difficulties, I'm just freezing, that's all. So I've got to fix this up. Then my breathing starts to get a bit funny. And I think at this point probably my air filter is a bit dirty. I'm just going to vent some more CO2 out of the pod manually just by using the airlock. And here everything kind of starts to go a little bit skew whiff again. Oh, I really had fun in this mission, as you can tell. And so here I was trying to restore the CO2 functionality, or the CO2 scrubber, to try and reduce the CO2 levels, and I just electrocuted myself. So note to self, always make sure you turn off your devices or your systems at the off switch before you play with your fuses, because yeah, I was so like, I wasn't happy basically at this point. My pod temperature wasn't too bad, but I basically died of electrocution. After all that, I managed to keep my CO2 levels in check and my O2 levels and all that, but just goes to show you with this game, you just don't know what can go wrong. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll catch you all in another video soon. Cheers.